This is the 1952 Topps PSA 10 Mickey Mantle card, and this is the most valuable card in the entire world. But how much is it actually worth? And if you want to know the answer to that question, you should stick around to this video, because I'm not just going to tell you, but I'm also going to show you this new newsletter that I created for high-end collectors. Because if you want to own cards like this, then you are what's called a high-end collector. So let's get into it. Hi, my name is Doc, and in this video we're going to go over how much this iconic card is actually worth, plus why you should subscribe to this new newsletter called High-End Cards that I created. And I'm going to be using an AI bot to determine the value of sports cards. Now, I'm going to explain how I'm going to do that, and also why you should subscribe to this newsletter. Just so you're aware, this edition that's coming out on Sunday is free. And all the editions that I've had so far for the newsletter are free as thank yous for hitting the subscribe button to it. Because I want you guys to have this information, be able to share it with people that you know in the hobby. But as we go forward, it's going to be a paid newsletter, because I created this bot, this AI bot, in order to determine real values of cards, and that's what you need to know. In terms of this card, the 1952 PSA 10, there are two booms that happened in the sports card hobby. The first boom happened during the late 80s, early 90s. That's when all the baby boomers came back into the hobby and decided they were going to buy all the cards that they lost through their childhood. And during that time frame, this card, the 1952 PSA 10, sold to the three people that own it right now. And if you subscribe to the newsletter, you will find out who those three owners are. But what you need to know is that this card, okay, the SGC 9.5, sold in 1990 for $50,000. That was from Mr. Rosen, and he wrote a letter that said, "This is the finest example of a mantle that I've ever seen." And the reason that you should know about that card and why it sold for $50,000 in 1990 is because in 2023, this same card sold for $12.3 million. That's the second boom that we're talking about in the sports card hobby. So the first boom was during the late 80s, early 90s. The second boom was during the pandemic era between 2020 to 2022. And this card specifically is known as an anchor card. And the reason that's important to understand is because that explains how my AI bot works. And so when you subscribe to the newsletter, you're going to get the advantage of not just my 40 years in the hobby, but you're going to get an AI bot who's going to analyze the real card values of all top 30 cards in the hobby. And the only reason that I'm even doing that is because there is a real possibility that in 2026, that Wall Street is going to start buying sports cards.
There are a lot of, asset managers that are putting some allocations into it. People have been contacting me, hey, we'd like to open up a sports ETF. What do you think? What should we be looking at?
Now, that was Ken Golden, the CEO of Golden Auctions. And when he says on CNBC that people are starting to ask him about sports card ETFs, that means that Wall Street may actually buy sports cards, and that's good news for the high-end collector. The reason is because Wall Street will pay a premium for sports cards. And if you don't know why, that's because Wall Street isn't spending their own money. They are using other people's money. And just to give you an example, if you were to buy a home, you would want a home inspection, a tax assessment, you'd want contingencies, because you want to protect your investment. You want to protect your money. But when Wall Street buys a home, they don't care about the home inspection. They will waive all contingencies. All they care about is the bottom line. They just want to make the purchase. So anything that gets in the way of the purchase is a problem for them. That's why when Wall Street started buying homes during the real estate boom, everybody started to make a lot of money because Wall Street doesn't care about the money. They only care about the transaction. And that's what you need to know as a high-end collector. If Wall Street starts buying sports cards, they're not going to care about the exact price of the card. What they're going to want is to own it, to put it into their ETF. Now, here's the thing that high-end collectors really need to know. Now, this newsletter is going to go into the actual value of the top 30 cards. Now, this is the anchor card. Okay? That's the 1952 PSA 10 Mickey Mantle. There are 3 known copies in the world, and if you subscribe to the newsletter, you're going to find out who all 3 of those owners are, and there's one owner that may be selling this card to Wall Street. And that's what you need to be aware of, because if this card sells, it's going to make this next boom a frenzy like you've never seen before. And that's what high-end collectors should be excited about. This is sort of the wild, wild west of sports cards. The third boom, if Wall Street gets involved, is going to be crazy. But they're going to target the first 30 cards, and then they're going to target the next 30. And that's where high-end collectors can really make a big profit. Because if they buy these cards to put them into an ETF, the only way they can do ROI, or return on investment, is they're going to have to sell some of these cards in order to bring cash back into the ETF, because these cards don't have any real value out in, there's no way to really profit from them in terms of unrealized gains, because unless there are other sales that can actually benchmark the prices of the cards, you have no idea what they're really worth. And that's why I created the AI bot, because I'm trying to figure out, well, what is the real value of these cards given the types of sales that we see in the auctions and on eBay. And that's what those, market mover apps like those, what those apps can't do is they can't tell you what the real value of cards are. All they can tell you is what the sales were. But they don't analyze the sales off of other sales. They can only tell you what each card sales are. And what the AI bot that I created does is it takes all the sales, so I enter in all the sales of the high-end cards, and then it evaluates the cards against each other based on demand and based on what the hobby says is the most valuable card. And so what the intelligence does, the artificial intelligence, it then makes an analysis of, well, if this card is worth X, then this card has to be worth Y. And that's why you should subscribe to this newsletter. And I'm excited about it because I can't wait to get into the top 30 cards, but I really can't wait to get into the next 30. So here's a good way of looking at it. The top 30 cards are like the S&P 500. These are your large cap stocks. This is your Microsoft, this is your Google, this is your Apple. But the next 30 cards are like your Russell 2000. That's your small cap stocks. And so those are the cards that are going to be the ones that you're going to be able to make the most amount of profit on. Because again, Wall Street's going to need to buy these cards in order to sell them to other Wall Street hedge funds, because the sales are what matters. And once Wall Street gets in the game, again, they don't care about the actual price they pay. They just need to be able to get a profit. And so once Wall Street starts buying and selling from Wall Street, the prices are going to start going up. Just like the high-end art market, the prices keep going up because they have to. And that's what you need to know. So first, what are the top 30 cards? Then what are the next 30 cards? If you want to know all of that, hit the subscribe button to that newsletter. Again, I am so excited about doing this. But I wanted to give you the information on this card, which is called the anchor card. And the reason the anchor card is so important is because it sets the market. Everyone agrees that the 1952 PSA 10 is the most valuable card in the hobby. No one is arguing with that. I am not arguing with that. But the question is, how much is it actually worth? And if you want to know the real dollar amount, from the AI bot. Just subscribe to the newsletter. It is free. I'm handing that out to everybody because it's the anchor card. I want everybody to know what that card is worth based on what the AI bot said. Because once we know that amount, then we can analyze and compare every other card against it. And that's why it's called an anchor. This is the card that sets the market. And so that's why it's so important. Now, I want to give out this information. Everybody already knows this. This is readily available. You can get this on Google. So the SGC 9.5 sold in 2023 for $12.3 million. That's important to know because then you can start to guess what the PSA 10 is worth. Again, there are only 3 known copies in the world, and that's the point. If you subscribe to the newsletter, you'll know who all 3 people are. And again, I'm telling you, one of those owners are probably going to sell to Wall Street if they start buying cards. And that's really important. I also give my recommendation in the newsletter as to how much Wall Street should pay for that card. So you're going to get the actual value from the AI bot. Then you're going to get what I think Wall Street should pay for it. Those numbers are different, and that's what you should know. Those numbers are different, and that's also where the profit margin comes in for all of these other cards. I'm excited for this new venture that I'm doing. I'm excited for the hobby. I'm going to continue to put out real information for you guys. There's nothing else you need to do other than hit the subscribe button to this channel. Please put down your questions. If there are specific cards you want me to analyze, put them down. I do have one question for all the viewers. What is your most expensive card right now in the hobby, and how much is it worth? How much is your card in your collection worth? I want to know. I'm going to be back with more content, more information, and more analysis. I'll see you in the next one.